don't have the... Ah, no, I was... yeah, no, I was looking for that, okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. I know that just after lunch it can be a little bit complicated. Let's try to have a dynamic panel. And I am really glad to have the possibility to moderate this panel related to cybersecurity and trust in the 6G era. So there are some few key points that I want to introduce related to 6G. Maybe there are concepts that you had already the possibility to hear about in these days, but it is not neglectable that 6G is introducing a huge transformation in terms of connectivity. Also, during the opening of the conference in this morning, we heard about that. We heard about the importance of this change in terms of connectivity. And there is maybe a buzzword, but important, the introduction of emerging technologies like AI and ML that can play, for sure, a huge role to realize the connectivity in a different way. And this is what is expected basically in the 6G. This is what also this morning and also yesterday during some of the workshop we were able to hear. But today we are really focused on what the change in terms of security and in terms of trust this 6G is bringing. First of all, with the introduction of AI and ML in 6G, for sure there is a different perspective also for the cybercriminal. And this is already changing in some way the perspective, the cybersecurity landscape. Because cyber criminal can use AI, ML as a weapon, and they have an advantage as well because they are not so concerned by legal limitation. And another important aspect related to the integration of AI and ML in 6G is related to the fact that this technology is bringing itself new type of attack that you don't have if basically you don't use ML AI. I'm thinking about, for example, data poisoning. I'm thinking about exfiltration, also model exfiltration, and also adversarial attack. And of course, when we consider that adversarial attack can also targeting key infrastructure, sensitive infrastructure. For example, automotive. You imagine that it can be with really a huge impact. And these are actually the application we are expecting with the 6G. So we will span from IoT to key infrastructure, as I mentioned, automation, but also, for example, hospital that will strongly rely on the connectivity concept that 6G can bring. And last but not least is the huge amount of data. Huge amount of data, of course, already 5G is coming with new, stronger scheme in terms of cryptography. But the point is that this is not enough, because we need to consider 6G with a global vision. We have objects, heterogeneous objects that communicate, that send data from one point to another. Our data, personal data, or data that apparently are meaning nothing, but when elaborated can reveal sensitive information about users and not only. So based on that, this panel has the ambitious to regard the security and the trust aspects with a cross-domain regard. We will consider indeed technical aspects, we will consider ethical aspects, and we will also consider legal factor that should be related in the next implementation of 6G. So updated regulation need for sure to be defined. An evolution in terms of legal framework is also expected in order to take the complexity of this infrastructure, but not to hinder its development. And this should be done maybe in a different way in respect of it has been done right now. So I hope that we will be able to cover all these concepts, and for sure I also count on you about an interaction at the end of the first part of this panel. I then introduce briefly all the participants of this panel. I start with myself. I am the moderator of this Cybersecurity and Trust in the 6G era panel. I'm research director at Inria in Lille. And my main focus is on cybersecurity aspects, above all at physical layer and with a cross-layer approach in IoT and 5G and 6G. One of our panelists is Emrah Tomur, that is heading up security research and standardization in Nokia since 2024 in Munich, Germany. And he has more than 25 years experience in the field of information and communication security in both academia and the private sector. We also have Marija Furdek. She's an associate professor at Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden, and her research interests include the design of high-performance optical networks supporting next-generation services, physical layer security, reliability analysis, and optimization technique. Our third panelist is Hartmut Aden, that is professor of European and German public law, public policy, and public administration at the Berlin School of Economics and Law. And Hartmut mainly focus on publication and teaching cover topics related to security and policing, human rights, data protection, public finance, and environmental protection. Last but not least is Przemysław Latos, that is Director of Innovation in Operator Solution at Orange Innovation Poland. And it drives the development of secure next-generation network solution within the Orange group. And his work mainly focuses on future-oriented technologies, cloud-native architecture, and AI-driven security. So, I would like to give the floor to the panelists. I would start with Marija, just to quickly present yourself and with one sentence that is regarding the vision regarding this panel before to start with the discussion.
Hello. Okay, now it works. Thank you very much, Valeria, for the nice introduction. I would say, as an opening remark, that 6G is expected to bring many innovations in the domain of security. It will bring together several very advanced paradigms that will be combined in carrier-grade networks. For example, distributed security systems, native AI applications, distributed ledger technologies, quantum, etc. And of course, these will create many new opportunities, but they will also increase the system complexity and they will introduce new vulnerabilities. In addition to that, the distributed nature of 6G networks will bring extra strain on the critical communication infrastructure, as well as on the way in which we share, process, and store data. So I would say that we need to have an encompassing overview of what 6G brings to the security landscape, analyze new attack vectors, and develop new security enhancing techniques.
Thank you very much. I would continue with Emrah.
Yes, thank you, Valeria. I'm actually very much excited to be here. Thank you for involving me, but I'm also very much excited that we are fast approaching towards the 6G world, right? As the conference of the motto goes also. So therefore, we have been doing exploratory research for quite some time, and then as also discussed in the opening speeches today, we made the halfway maybe towards the 6G times. So we are now, we now just started standardization for 6G, and then at the same time we are going to continue with research, but maybe more of, I don't know, some applied research with testbeds and POCs. So I think these times are really exciting, but of course we have also several challenges ahead, as we are going to talk today, with regards to security and trustworthiness as well. But I'm hopeful, I'm positive towards the future. So as we have been collaborating in a very good way since the very beginning, from the very early days of 6G research, I think we are going to be able to do it. Yep. Thanks.
Thank you. I let Hartmut to continue.
Yeah, thanks for having me on this panel. I think indeed that enhanced connectivity is a great opportunity for all of us. So this is probably something that we are looking forward at, but we should of course not forget about human rights, the human and the impact on individuals. So therefore this is also quite a challenge, and of course also a great opportunity for researchers interested in that, and therefore it's probably also quite good that not only people from informatics are looking at that, but that we are also looking at that from an interdisciplinary perspective. Thanks.
Thank you. Przemysław.
Hello everybody, thank you for having me. So in the contrary to my dear co-panelists, I'm not having an excellent academic career. I'm representing a business, Orange Poland. And whereas in Orange we are still in the progress of deployment of 5GSA, it's hard to imagine what's the 6G era bringing. Well, what I can imagine talking to my colleagues from operations is that we will need to focus on how the cloud native and full software approach will bring new vulnerabilities. This is for one. The second is how to orchestrate this huge amount of data and assets that we will need to cope with. And AI is one of the paths, but not evident. And we're looking to the future to be cautious and aware of what's going on.
Thank you very much. Emrah, you were starting to speak about standardization activity regarding 6G. So what is new in terms of cybersecurity is already integrated in the first version of the standard. What is new and what, in your opinion, is needed to be done in terms of cybersecurity in 6G?
Yeah, thanks, Valeria. It's a good question. I mean, the short answer is that we should make sure that 6G is secure from day one on, right? So, I mean, this is something that we should achieve. But then also, we have a very good basis, actually, coming from 5G security. So it puts a very strong foundation on top of which we can make additions. And then at the end of the day, we will hopefully get this secure 6G as it is expected. Though, I mean, 5G security provides quite good basis, as I was saying, we also have some learnings out of 5G times. Not only about security, for instance, it was just mentioned that, I mean, this standalone option of 5G, but then we started with non-standalone and it created some complications with regards to also security. So we have also other learnings. For instance, we, in the standardization, maybe we were a bit late in specification of some security features like user plane integrity. And then since it came late, maybe it was not deployed in the way that it should be. And also we presented some multiple options, some complicated security solutions, which would also maybe not nice. Security anyhow at some complexity. And then going with some complex security solutions with multiple options wouldn't make our life easier. And then finally, another learning maybe from 5G security is that as we had new releases, we had new features, but then I mean we needed to add security on top of the architectural design. So it didn't come as a native or by design, but then we added it on the top, which is not the best thing to do. So therefore, I mean, with these learnings, I think we should be actually, as I was saying, ensuring that 6G should be secure from day one. And then this would require that actually, of course, then we do some proactive things. I mean, we should be anticipating future challenges from the very first release. And then, again, as you were mentioning in the introduction, there is this AI machine learning, which is a very good technology, but then we should be also foreseeing the challenges, the security issues that it could bring up. So therefore, we should be making sure that from day one, we are able to tackle with this AI, ML security challenges. Another challenge could come from this other very nice technology, which is quantum computing. So it's not by itself is a threat, but then since the technology is new and then it would bring new capabilities to computing, it would bring some challenges for the security. So we should be also taking this into account from now so that we would make sure that 6G is secure or quantum resistant from day one. And this is also what I'm saying is also related to, again, as I was saying, related to the philosophy that we should follow, which is security by design or privacy by design. So we should make sure that during the architectural design, security is also considered. So we should ensure that our teams, both in research but also in standardization, should be working together and then considering security natively during the design phase. And when it comes to what is new, I will talk about technical features, let's say, and then one thing which is sure, as I was saying, is this quantum resistance feature. And also, again, it was being discussed actually in multiple panels that maybe it's not only for 6G, but then it is for 5G as well. So we should be making sure that our networks are resistant against these quantum computers when we have them at some point in time, that we should be ensuring that our networks are secure. And but then, I mean, hopefully we are doing good job. We already, I mean, NIST already determined, selected the cryptographic algorithms. Now IETF is working on them to augment them into the internet protocols, which we also use in mobile communication networks. And then 3GPP SA3 already started to plan how we should make this migration or adaptation in mobile communication, because we also have several asymmetric crypto protocols which are vulnerable against quantum computer attacks. But then, I mean, from NIST to IETF, from IETF to SA3 and ORAN, we would make sure that, I mean, we would be quantum resistant. And another thing I think which is important for 6G, which we maybe were not able to achieve in 5G, is ensuring security at lower layers. I mean, at MAC layer and also physical layer. So, because there is quite some sensitive information at lower layers, both user-related information, but also control information like MAC control elements. So therefore, there is quite some agreement in pre-standardization discussions that 6G would be also bringing this lower layer security. Last but not least, again, as you were saying, this, I mean, there is no doubt that AI would be involved in 6G, but to what level it would be there, it will be discussed. But in any case, we should make sure that this AI native architecture of 6G, which is now agreed, should be secure and privacy preserving. So therefore, we should be taking care of the whole life cycle of AI, from data collection to model transfer, model training, inference. So we should make sure that we have this secure and privacy preserving machine learning AI.
Thank you, Emrah, for pointing out all these really important aspects. And most of them are technical aspects, but still there are two concepts, privacy and data. That let me go directly to a next question related to the trust and to the ethical aspects that are factors that should be developed in this hyper-connected world. So I would start by asking how these factors can be integrated, if they can be integrated since the beginning. And I ask you, Hartmut, to first answer this question.
Yeah, also from my perspective, thank you. From my perspective, the design phase that Emrah mentioned is crucial. So at that point already, all these ethical and legal aspects should be taken into account. So I tend to call that legality by design, what is somehow complemented privacy by design. So everything should already be considered at a very early stage, because it does not make much sense to have everything ready and then see that at the end things are not really feasible from a legal or from an ethics perspective. So therefore, the design phase is really crucial. Then when it comes to the requirements from an ethics perspective, I would say that now we are in quite an interesting phase, because with the European Union's Artificial Intelligence Act that entered into force last year, now all these ethics categories are moving into legal categories. So now we have terms such as trustworthiness, trust, or also fairness that are now becoming legal terms, even if they are quite complicated. And this is probably also something where people from informatics should be aware of, that you cannot really force people to trust something, but you have to do something in order to make technologies trustworthy. So you cannot just say, okay, now I think I have done enough, and now I suppose that you have to trust in this technology, but this simply does not work. So in social sciences, we distinguish between systemic trust and personal trust. Probably both have to be combined. So it's of course also somehow personal trust in the actors involved, but then it's very much also about systemic trust that is needed when it comes to make people convinced that they can use new technology without taking too many risks. And yeah, what does that mean in practice? It's very much at the starting point about transparency, because if things are not transparent, how should ever we trust into something that we cannot understand? So this is really very important to think about the role of transparency already in the design phase, make clear that things are understandable, that they are well explained, and that people are able to understand why this is a technology that really takes care of their fundamental rights, for example, and that not just makes their data go anywhere. So this is something that is quite important. And the second category that is then probably a bit less discussed, but that is also important from my perspective, is the ethics perspective of fairness. So what does that mean? That means at the end that people feel treated in a fair way when it comes to new technologies. What means it should be somehow taken into account their interests. So they should not only perceive technology providers as people who want to make money or who want to collect all the data about them, but it should really be perceived as fair. And I think this makes sense to think about that already at the design stage, how this can be implemented in technologies in order to make them transparent and fair. So that would be my main points here.
Okay, thank you very much. Somebody else wants to add something to this point.
I may add, we believe in Orange that trust can be also not only a philosophical question, whether to do whether the customer trusts or not. It can be also a competitive advantage on the market that we fight for as an organization that brings money. So I will give you a real life example that is factual from 2 weeks ago. There was a huge DDoS attack on one of our customers, business customers, that was 1.3 terabit per second burst attack. So that is the previous known attack was more than 2 times smaller. So that was really massive attack. And in such a crisis situation, our cybersecurity team proved that we can prevent and secure, and that we can act in such crisis situations. So this is how we build trust. Yeah. So this is first point. We build trust, and then I totally agree with your point of view that ethical approach is important, and I believe this is also a tool to maintain the gained trust. So first we can, by doing, reach some kind of level of trust in the customer, and then maintain it by ethical approach. And how we define ethics, we try to be also pragmatic by drawing some red lines that we don't want to cross. So first is not to make the customer addicted. Second would be not to make the customer alienated from the world. The third could be to keep the customer self-reliant, not fully dependent on our service. So there are aspects that we believe in organization are important to specify within the service or product that make the customer sure that the trust he gives us is still valid throughout time.
Thanks a lot for pointing out these important interest aspects. Do you want to add something?
Can I add a few words? I mean, maybe also to bring some controversy to the discussion, I don't know. So, because, trust is a good thing, of course, and trustworthiness is something that we desire from a system, but then we should be all aware that, I mean, it's also a very difficult thing to promise, right, to give. And then we already are aware that trustworthiness has non-technical components, I mean, personal, legal, social components, but even if we are focusing on the technical components like reliability, resilience, safety, these are things beyond security. So we should be collaborating together with other disciplines because, I mean, in security, as you all know, we deal with intentional, malicious actors, threats, right? So other than this, this is beyond our area of expertise to ensure full resilience, full reliability, full dependability. So security is, of course, a very good factor to ensure this, but then we should be collaborating across disciplines. So this is what I would say.
Thank you very much. So, a little bit related with these aspects of trust, it was mentioned again, one of the most important points and aspects that yesterday it was defined as the elephant in the room is exactly we're representing what data are up today. There is a huge amount of data. Data can be monetized. So I have still a question regarding the legal regulation aspect. So once again, I will start with you, Hartmut, for this point. Where are we with the regulation in terms of data in the hyper-connected world?
Yeah, I think here in the European conference it makes sense to look also at the European Union perspective. And there I would say we're on quite a good way, even if many things still are being to be done. So when we look at the general framework that we have now in terms of regulation, we have the General Data Protection Regulation that has already played a role here in a number of presentations. Now we have the Artificial Intelligence Act. So this sets quite a good general framework. And then we also have, from the side of the European Union, a number of sector-specific regulations for the medical sector, for vehicles, etc. So therefore, this is a good starting point. But we also have to consider that technology regulation is something very dynamic. So with new technologies, new risks occur. So therefore, my guess is that also with, and specifically with the Artificial Intelligence Act, that I don't like in all details, but it's already there, and therefore it already makes sense to have this as a starting point. But then in the upcoming years, there will be a need for more specific rules for specific sectors. So therefore, my guess is that we are only at the beginning. But why does it make sense? Because the European Union is attempting to be a forerunner, what is called now in the literature the Brussels effect, so that other countries in the world somehow take that as a template. It can already be demonstrated for the General Data Protection Regulation. It's a bit less clear potentially if this will also work for artificial intelligence regulation, but nevertheless, this somehow makes sense to have something that is more concise, more precise, related to what other parts of the world do. And if we now look at the opposite trend that we have in the United States, that they somehow abolish the very minimal regulation that was already there, I get that we are on the better side in Europe. Why? Of course, I know that technology developers sometimes think that stricter rules in the European Union somehow prevent them from doing what they want. I would argue in the opposite way that it is a comparative advantage to have some kind of guiding that then makes possible to develop technologies that are also compatible with fundamental rights, with other legal requirements, and also with the needs of the addressees and the users of technology. And therefore, from my perspective, it makes perfectly sense that the European Union has started quite early with these ambitions to regulate, and that we already have quite a good starting point. So I would say, yes, we are probably somehow in a phase where things are moving very quickly, but it's probably quite good that we have this clearer framework in Europe compared to other parts of the world.
Thank you very much, Hartmut. I am curious also to hear the technical perspective about data, because I'm also a technical person, so I work with a lot of data when it comes with physical layer security. And what is weird is that basically these are apparently innocent data, unstructured, but still when we manipulate them, when we treat them, they can become with more significant. So I would ask you, Marija, the question about your perception of data in cybersecurity.
Thank you very much. And actually, the same thoughts were running through my head as I was listening to Hartmut speaking. Usually, when we work with the physical layer security issues, we get aggregate data that only describes the parameters of the signal. In my case, optical, in your case, wireless, right? And this data can in no way be mapped to individual users or data flows, etc. So we are just considering the aspect of how the signals are performing and trying to analyze whether there's something anomalous going on or not. So from this sense, seemingly there might not be major security concerns, but we still, when we as researchers want to open the data sets, want to publish them, want to provide them to the community to further test, to further develop, we are not really allowed to do so, because this data still reveals performance about individual devices that are ultimately produced by some vendors, and of course they don't want to reveal that data either. So we are in a kind of tricky situation where there is abundance of data, but it's not really available to the research community. So there are different initiatives to make them open and to sort to say renew the openly available data sets.
Yeah, this is actually an interesting perspective, and I would add that if you are able to manipulate data about devices, you can also discover some signature related to the specific device that ultimately is the device of some users. So also in terms of privacy, of course, when we manage all this data, it's some kind of rich word that should be with regulation, clarity, etc. So, related to research company and to public bodies, for example, that can cooperate, how these aspects of cooperation also with public research institutes, university, can be improved. I would like to ask this question to you, Przemysław, that announced that you are not with academic experience, but your perspective in this sense could be also more meaningful, because you are regarding from the business point of view. So how this can be realized in your opinion?
Thank you. So from this group, customers, public bodies, academic environment, I will start with customers, okay, as a pragmatic business guy. So to prepare for this panel, I consulted our Vice President Orange Polska, the head of B2B, Bożena Leśniewska, and she asked me to very explicitly say one example that shows how we engage customers to join our vision and follow us. It's a lab that is established in our headquarters in Warsaw. It's called Cyber Experience Center, where the customer comes and together with our team, our cybersecurity team, experience a ransomware attack. It's a game, but it's an engaging game. It's very immersive, and they find out what are the true elements of the collaboration with us. So this is how we engage customers, by experiencing together. This is the new approach, but very powerful. Going forward to public bodies, I believe that we as a commercial organization have to take the demand-driven takeaways from the market analysis and pass them to the public bodies in order to properly prioritize what's important. Because we can spend a lot of time and minds and money on the European level to pursue some law in context of AI and other tools, but it can be somehow more useful or not. So we want to help them prioritize. And the last, academic. So what I will say is that in Orange, we in Orange Polska, in our team, in Orange Innovation Poland, we truly believe in industrial PhD program, together with master thesis students, In the software-defined network domain, we have had 12 of them, I counted. And this is an excellent platform for bidirectional communication on the goals of the academic community and our organization.
Thank you very much. And the point that you are raising are really, really interesting because I believe that it makes completely sense to have a training program. We are aware about the European Marie Curie program, for example, that incentivizes, of course, the collaboration, strict collaboration with the industry. And this is also implemented directly in the company that really believe in the importance of PhD. It's something really important, really interesting. And I just have a curiosity because at the first point you mentioned that you let come the user, the stakeholder to make an experience like a game is a kind, it can be an hackathon, for example. How many users accept and come in the company to play the game?
Maybe let's wait for the stats because it's a new initiative that I'm now advertising. So let's keep the fingers crossed for the powerful message to the market. But the first remarks, the first feedback is very, very positive.
And this is also an extremely important point that you are mentioning because we can automate things, but at the end, the user, the human being is the main actor and will remain the main actor that is exploiting technology. So it's really interesting what the point you are raising. Somebody else would add something related to that.
Yeah, thanks. Maybe I could emphasize the importance of actually European Commission funds, Horizon Europe, especially SNS joint undertaking in this co-creation, right? Because starting with HexaX maybe, and then yesterday I was talking to both Patrick from Ericsson and also my colleague from Nokia who are heading up Miko, the HexaX project from the very beginning, and then we had the opportunity to have this cooperation before competition during the explorative phase. I mean, competitor to competitor, customer to vendor. We had all kind of collaborations, interactions during these projects, and then we came up with very good results. Today in the morning, I was attending the SNSJU architecture presentation, which actually produced a very nice book with very good outcomes that we could take into standardization. And then standardization is also maybe another unique way of collaborating, including your competitors. So with some heated discussions, you all agree on the very same solution for problems. I mean, and then people or organizations coming from different backgrounds, having different requirements, whatever, so they have to come to a common agreement on the technical solutions. So therefore, starting with research and continuing with standardization, I think we are able to perform this competition, also thanks to funds coming from European Commission.
Thank you. Hartmut?
Yeah, I think that indeed cooperation and coordination are really very crucial for this kind of technology development. For the people who are really concerned at the end and who are potentially using or affected by technologies, of course it's nice to have these kinds of approaches, but that's probably the most difficult part to integrate them. So therefore we should also consider to integrate civil society organizations in these kinds of debates, because they often somehow bundle and focus perspectives of users or people concerned. So therefore, this completely makes sense to have them in this perspective. And then when it comes to developing technologies in cooperation with research, what we do on a regular basis is that we test new technologies and devices with our students, because somehow, of course, let's say the younger generation, they are probably quite open for new technologies, but then the feedback that we get through working with them in seminars where they really can use and test technologies, this is really extremely interesting, not only for us from the social science and legal perspective, but also for our colleagues from technology sciences, who then really see what works and where even, let's say, technology open people may have difficulties.
I have a question to you regarding the students. Which type of formation they have? So they have a profile more technical, more they have a multidisciplinary profile, because what can be difficult is exactly to have the perception of the legal aspects with this combined with these technical aspects. So which type of profile your students have?
Yeah, indeed, I'm working in an institution where we don't have many technology programs, so we mostly have public administration and economics programs. And our experience is, so I'm working in a department of police and security management, and my focus is also security research, and we are indeed doing this kind of experimenting new technologies with students either from our policing programs, so future police officers, or with students from our security management programs. And in a way, this is also good because these people are potentially then also users of technologies, for example, when it comes to cybersecurity. And if they think, okay, this is obvious, then it's probably also already a good sign. So recently we did that, for example, in a project where we developed technologies to detect deep fakes, and then we just asked the students to bring a short video and to run it through our detector system. And that was really quite interesting, because we even learned new cases by what they brought, and probably also for them it was interesting. And if then a future police officer is able to use our system, this is probably already quite a good indicator if it will then be something that can be used in practice.
Thank you. So, Marija, I let you also give us your perspective about, from a university point of view. Please.
Thank you very much. I think all these initiatives are wonderful, and they show that it's really important to work together, to collaborate with multiple stakeholders, because we all have different backgrounds, different expertise, and ultimately also maybe different needs. I just wanted to give an example of the project where I'm currently involved in, which is called 5G Tactic. It's not on 6G, but I think the practice is very good and something to be followed, where a significant part of the efforts is devoted to developing a training program that will be training different stakeholders on the technical and on the regulatory aspects of 5G technologies. So. And we are actually collaborating with stakeholders to investigate what needs do they have in terms of training, so that we can shape the training program, which should start next year, to best fit their needs.
Okay, so very interesting. This is a national project? Or
a European.
A European
yes.
project where it is explicitly integrated a training.
Exactly.
And this is also really interesting, is joining the same perspective that is developed in Orange, also in the Institute of Hartmut. So I believe that this is finally the right direction towards the objective that we are aiming to achieve, training and improving based on the feedback. This is something really important. And when we speak about training, I need to be back about the one of the initial points, the concept of the use of AI and ML in cybersecurity. I define it as the beauty or the beast because the beginning in my introduction, what I mentioned, and by working with also Police Nationale, for example, with the gendarmerie, what we noticed and what I said at the beginning, the cyber criminal have the advantage they don't have to respect any legal aspects or regulation. So they have this huge advantage in respect to who is defending. And I am back to that also, and I would start with your perspective, Marija, in this sense, because once again, physical layer security is not a new concept, but it is becoming, in my opinion, really predominant now with the data that we mentioned, and for which we often rely on the use of AI and machine learning. So can you give us your perspective from the use of AI and ML in cybersecurity?
Mm-hmm. Certainly. I liked how you posed the question whether it's a beauty or the beast. And I would say that it is exactly what we make of it, right? In many cases, machine learning is a savior because when applied to physical layer security, it can help us identify or detect threats that no matter how many years of experience a human technician might have, they might not be able to understand when an attack happens or what type of an attack it is or where is the source of an attack, etc. And this is because the impact of different types of attacks on the different signal parameters can be very, very subtle. For example, the changes in the state of polarization of signal can be very subtle, but we can train machine learning models to discover these very, very intricate patterns in the data that are not observable to humans. So in that sense, it's a huge help to the human security officers that ultimately need to manage these threats. But of course, it comes with a set of challenges. One of the challenges that we already mentioned is the lack of data. We often don't have representative data sets where all the threats are well represented. Sometimes we have the data, but it's not labeled. Sometimes the data is noisy, some features are missing, etc. And then even when we manage to cope with these issues, we have the issue of generalizability. What happens when I train a model on one data set? Does it perform well enough for another scenario? So in that sense, it really requires a lot of work and not considering machine learning as a magic wand that solves our problems. And then, of course, there is the potential to use machine learning as tool to inflict attacks or to exploit vulnerabilities, etc. So I would say that machine learning needs our help to reveal the inner beauty of, of the technology.
And I believe that you touch also a very important point because it's not something magical. And it's not something that is nowadays something, some technology that everybody aims to use, but do we really need for developing all the aspects of 6G, or in some way we could also make without and be also more cost effective? So maybe this is also something that in terms of research, above all, we should try to address. So I would like also to ask Hartmut about the AI